All right, what's up, folks? Today is Saturday, February 10th, 2018. Rich Van Tassel with you. And of course, now that the NFL season is over, we're going much more into the NBA. You had the trade deadline this week. Really, the only significant trade that I would say that really moves the needle as far as a team that was, floundering, of course, and now could potentially win a championship would be the Cleveland Cavaliers. And of course, you have LeBron James on that team to begin with. They're always very much newsworthy to begin with. So you had that trade this week. I believe it happened on Thursday at the deadline. A lot of players moving parts. They got rid of the guys they basically acquired in the Kyrie Irving trade. Isaiah Thomas was shifted to Cleveland. Of course, Isaiah Thomas was shipped from Cleveland to Los Angeles. Jay Crowder was out of there. I don't think Jay Crowder went to the Lakers as well. I know Isaiah Thomas went to the Lakers. I think Jay Crowder went to Miami. They got rid of Dwayne Wade. Of course, he's now going back to Miami. So there were a lot of teams involved. But now the guys that they brought in, they of course didn't get DeAndre Jordan, who I think really would have helped that team, which has struggled on the defensive side of the ball. But, you look at some of the guys they have now added: George Hill, Larry Nance, Jordan Clarkson from the Lakers. So you've run in some talent, and, I'm very confused by the all of a sudden. Actually, I shouldn't be confused by it because it's what people do. They want to see the Cavaliers. Chris Broussard is the biggest Cleveland Cavaliers cheerleader and LeBron James cheerleader. But it's kind of a case of, why is this the trade that's going to put the Cleveland Cavaliers over the top? Because Isaiah Thomas is out of town. Of course, as a Celtics guy, I'm a big Isaiah Thomas fan. I think he became the scapegoat in Cleveland. Remember, he was coming back from an injury. He hadn't even played that many games up until this point, and it's just kind of, throwing the book at him as being the guy. I don't think that's really the case. I don't think it's fair, but it is what it is. But George Hill, I mean, is a solid professional player. Don't get me wrong. Derrick Rose, of course, was shipped out as well in the trade. They did get younger, so I guess that's a benefit in that regard. But what is George Hill going to do that I don't see Derrick Rose doing? You had Dwayne Wade in there. Dwayne Wade clearly not the player he used to be, but I don't think Dwayne Wade was causing the problem. Clarkson is athletic. Larry Nance is an athletic guy. I think they improved the defense a bit. But you looked at the Cleveland Cavaliers this season, I think the biggest issue they had was continuity, and then they completely overhauled their roster. Look, they may have run out of time this year and not figured it out in time to really salvage their season with the current roster they had. I feel at some point they would have gotten it together towards the playoffs and made a deep run. I don't think the previous team was strong enough before the trade. I don't think this current team is strong enough before the trade. Now, the Celtics are sputtering a bit. We'll see what happens tomorrow when they play in a nationally televised game. That'll certainly be interesting. You do have the All-Star break coming up for Cleveland, which will give them some time to get continuity. But even then, LeBron James is not going to be practicing with the team much. They've extended the All-Star break. A lot of guys are going to be taking time off when the All-Star break comes. And the All-Star break is incredibly late this season. Some teams have already played 56 plus 55 games. I don't believe anyone's played less than 55. I know the Celtics have played 57 this year. I guess that would be the highest. Okay, you have Houston at 54. They are really the only team. New Orleans has played 54 games. Sacramento has played 50. Okay, a few teams have played 54 now that we see it, but you have some that have played as many as 57, like the Boston Celtics. Cleveland is one of those teams that's only played 54. So once the All-Star break is final, you're only going to have 25 games left, maybe a little more if you're Cleveland. You hope that you can get some time in the All-Star break to get the continuity together. Now, I get it. The NBA likes to push LeBron James. They like to market LeBron James. They believe that LeBron James can basically do anything with any roster, but he wasn't able to do it with the previous roster. Do I think Cleveland improved? Yes. Do I think that Isaiah Thomas, right or wrong, was not fitting in with that team? Yes. I think Jay Crowder would have given that team a very good presence that you would have needed come certainly finals time if you're playing the Golden State Warriors, to mark up a guy like Kevin Durant just to throw a lot of bodies at him, give LeBron James time off on Kevin Durant. So I think that would have helped, but I just don't see how we're going to take a team like the Cleveland Cavaliers that didn't have the continuity to begin with all season long, Isaiah Thomas with injury, those things, and now with 28 games they have to play. They're going to play a few, then go to the All-Star break and have 25 games left before the season starts. Now, 25 games is a decent portion, but still, they couldn't figure it out in 15 with the guys who they went to training camp with, bringing Isaiah Thomas in. He's played, what, close to 20, I believe, actually, a little more than 15 with the Cavaliers. So you're essentially looking at guys you went to training camp with. Certainly Isaiah Thomas was around the facility. He was certainly, engaged with these guys. He wasn't playing in a new system, and now we're going to completely overhaul the roster, bring in these other guys, and expect to get it fixed in 25 games, and automatically become, top cops. Now, Las Vegas, and again, I'm not really the gambling guy, they're not giving the Cavaliers much love. So is this, again, just the media narrative where we're saying, oh, it's Cleveland, this is a great trade? And again, I don't necessarily think it's a bad trade. I certainly think they improved, but there is nothing to suggest that when these new guys come in, that the same problems as far as continuity that existed are not going to happen yet again. So let's keep an eye on what happens moving forward. But yeah, it just says Vegas odd makers. It was a video clip, so I didn't really watch it. Are not impressed with the Cavs trade. So I really don't know. I like Jordan Clarkson. I think he's an athletic guy, but Jordan Clarkson to me is not a needle mover. DeAndre Jordan is much more of a needle mover than Jordan Clarkson is, and I don't know that DeAndre Jordan would have made much of a difference with this team. You have played with Dwayne Wade in the past. Yes, he was a new guy brought in, but certainly LeBron and Dwayne Wade, they've won championships together. They know how to play. You couldn't figure that all out in 50 some odd games, and now all of a sudden in 25 games we're going to figure it all out the rest of the way, bringing in these new guys. I don't see it. I really don't. Could you just say I'm a Celtics fan and I am looking down at the Cavaliers? Maybe. The Celtics ain't impressing me that much to begin with either. I mean, the Cavaliers may win the East, but it's only because the Celtics are really starting to fizzle out from that hot start. Toronto, I still think, is a fairly dangerous team, but I don't think Toronto has the guns to do it, especially what they've shown between Kyle Lowry, especially in the playoffs, DeRozan at times, but Kyle Lowry has been much too subpar in the playoffs, so we can see that no one else made moves. I'm a little surprised the Celtics didn't make moves as well. Of course, you get Greg Monroe. I don't know. I wanted Greg Monroe when he was a free agent. At this point, though, the Celtics really, they need Kyrie Irving on the court. They've got to start, maybe they're just, going into the All-Star break, taking their time, and we'll see what happens coming out of the All-Star break with the Celtics. Of course, tomorrow's game is going to shed some light onto it, but not much. Kyrie Irving starting to come back. So it's a curious situation. It's very interesting to keep an eye on, but I just don't. I mean, maybe I'll be wrong, and these guys will come right in, gel right away, and Cleveland will really start to look good. They've certainly gotten younger. They've gotten a bit more athletic. You have Isaiah Thomas no longer there. He's a guy, of course, who needs the ball a lot. But at the end of the day, it was all continuity all season long for the Cleveland Cavaliers, not being together when they're playing on defense, not being together when they played on offense. And you're overhauling the roster and expecting that just to be fixed just because it's LeBron James. Well, if it was just because it was LeBron James, then I don't think they would have been in this position to begin with. All right, be sure to stay tuned for the weekly NBA report on Monday. We will give you that. We had the All-Star break coming up. I believe that's next weekend. I don't even know at this point with the NBA schedule. It's almost certainly next weekend, though, so if that's the case, we will be taking the week off as well from that. So be sure to stay tuned, and we'll keep you updated with anything else that comes across the wire. And remember, we appreciate all subscriptions as well. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you next time.